Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren and I'm a counsellor at the City of Glasgow College. As part of our coping and COVID videos, we're going to be talking to you today about mental health at Christmas, some of the triggers and what they might be, and also some hints and tips on how to manage your mental health this Christmas. So this is Iona, and I'll let you introduce yourself, Iona.
Yeah, so my name's Iona Gibson. I'm a student at City of Glasgow College, but I'm also the VP for Diversity and Wellbeing. I work in the ASA and I promote events that promote healthy wellbeing and lifestyle as well.
Thanks so much, Iona. So I think many of us are worried about how the coronavirus pandemic may affect our mental health this Christmas. And whether or not Christmas is a part of your life, your mental health might be affected by what's happening around you. As this time of year often puts extra pressure on us in lots of different ways. For example, there's always the financial difficulty of Christmas. You might feel alone or left out because everyone seems quite happy when you're not. Iona, I'm just wondering from a kind of student perspective, what do you think the main difficulties are for students around now?
Yeah, well, especially this year, working from home all the time, it's going to be a struggle for a lot of people. They wake up in the morning and they stay in the house all day, and especially with the short days of winter, that is going to be a really big challenge. And I think it's important to be mindful of that. For if you are sitting in one spot all day, there's loads of things you can do to combat that. Make sure you're getting up during the day.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I think you've touched on something really important. I think, we know that actually the weather can really greatly affect our mental health, and, the extra stress and pressure of everything that's happening, of students working from home, that can be difficult. And I think that Christmas can be quite an emotional time anyway. Um, Often we might feel a little bit frustrated by other people's views of a perfect Christmas if these are different to our own experiences. And if you're struggling with your mental health anyway, it can be super difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for people to like their own expectations at Christmas. There's especially if you are a student, there's the pressure of completing assignments before the break as
Yeah.
well as everything else that's going on at this time of year.
Yeah, so difficult and stressful experiences around deadlines can make your mental health worsen. Um, it can be also quite hard to access services that normally support you. So I think that that's really important for us to kind of mention that helplines can be really useful at this time. But I think having the deadlines around Christmas can be really, really stressful. And I think if you celebrate other religious holidays or festivals, you may feel overlooked, as it feels like Christmas is given quite a lot of special attention. It's all over the media, everyone is talking about it, when that might not be the case of other religious festivals, which can be really difficult too. I think New Year is also quite a hard time. It can make you look back at quite difficult memories about anything in this coming year, anything that you've struggled with. And that could be with regards to COVID and the pandemic or anything at all. And sometimes expectation versus reality can kind of cause people to dip into a bit of depression.
Yeah.
But you mentioned kind of coping mechanisms and coping strategies, and I think Iona, you touched on something that's really important around kind of like, making sure you're getting out sometimes, even if that is for a short walk. And it's important. Sorry, on you,
I
Iona.
was just gonna say, I try every day if I've got time on my lunch break, I'll go for a quick walk. Even if it's, raining really heavy, I'll put on a good coat just to get out for 5-10 minutes because it's really important, especially in the middle of the day, it's at its brightest. It's really good for your mental health as well as, physical health going for a short wee walk.
Definitely, and I think right now it's getting dark at 3 or 4, so taking that time at lunchtime, even for 5 minutes, even for 10 minutes, to get outside, get some fresh air, and just change your perspective, is really, really important and can actually make a massive difference.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that a lot of the time planning ahead can be quite helpful. There might be some students that, for whatever reason, perhaps might have to spend Christmas alone this year. So for that reason, making time for yourself and planning around, what you could do, whether that is curling up on the settee with a book, watching something on Netflix, talking to someone, can be really important. I think that at Christmas it can be really easy to get swept up in other people's plans. And it's important to do something that you want to as well, because it's time for students just to have a little break and relax.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
And especially this year, it's well deserved for the students. They need that time off after a really tough year, I think.
Definitely, definitely. What do you think about kind of like social media around Christmas time, Iona?
I think a lot of the time, you know, when you're scrolling through your social media feeds, it's just plastered with the same Christmas images, and that can be really overwhelming for a lot of people. I know for myself, I try and distance myself from my phone because I know for a fact I go back to my phone a lot when I'm bored or when I'm not doing anything. So it's constantly there in my mind, and I think it's important just to kind of distance yourself from that a wee bit if you feel yourself in.
And I think that's an important point I want to around kind of like, you know, automatically going to your phone when you're bored or where there's not much else on, filling that time. And, you know, comparing your situation to someone else's on social media. And most people only share the best bits of their life online. And you don't know what's going on behind the selfies and the family dinners and all of those sorts of things. So I think that if you are feeling quite vulnerable, taking some time away from social media can be really important. And definitely I would recommend that for people's mental health as well. I think that there's some really great things about social media, about bringing people together, about talking about mental health, but it's all about balance.
Yeah. I think it's being mindful as well of the fact that what's going on around you, what can you be grateful for, that you don't necessarily have to share on social media. It can be just for you. And I think that you'll appreciate it a bit more if you kind of just take that moment in for its fullest and kind of appreciate yourself.
Definitely, definitely. I think it's another kind of point that is really kind of vital to talk about with regards to the holiday season is alcohol. I think, you know, within our culture in the UK, you know, it's you put Christmas and drinking alcohol and New Year kind of together. And while a little bit of alcohol can make you feel relaxed, drinking too much, especially if you're kind of struggling with mental health, can make you feel quite irritable and low. So it can be easy to get caught up in drinking alcohol and not kind of acknowledging or not kind of realizing how much you are drinking. It can cause a big part in arguments and disagreements at Christmas if things are already quite tense. So kind of watching your alcohol intake, being more mindful of it, and kind of planning, okay, you know, at Christmas Day I'm only going to have so many drinks, so that you kind of know what place you're going to be in and can plan that and try and keep a handle on that as well.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people who are worried about Christmas or might feel overwhelmed, I think talking about it is really, really important and acknowledging it. Because I think that, you know, like this video we're doing right here, Iona, I think a lot of the time, you know, it's not really talked about how difficult Christmas can be. So chatting to someone that you can trust can be really helpful. And kind of exchanging tips and ways to support each other. And that can be, you know, a friend, a family member, it can be a helpline. Just sharing that and making you realise that you're not alone in this. And a lot of people find this a really difficult time of year.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people get caught up with how busy this time of year can be, and they don't even realise themselves that they might be incredibly stressed or feeling quite low actually. So taking that talk, even asking a friend or a family member, how are you feeling, maybe would make you reflect on your own feelings, and that should be a good opportunity for you to kind of let off some steam and kind of relay your emotions off.
And connect with other people. And I think we've shown this year that there's, you know, while ideally I'm sure everyone would like to be in the same place, there's lots of ways that we can try and adapt that and stay in contact with people through, you know, phone calls, Zoom calls, messaging, all these different things. So, you know, finding ways to connect over Christmas with people is really, really important, especially if you are spending this Christmas on your own or with people that you possibly would have not necessarily shared it with at all. So I think that, you know, I just want everyone to know, I want all our students to know that they're not alone. This has been a really tough year. And, you know, I think Iona, completely what you said is right. They deserve a break at this time. They deserve to relax. And I hope everyone gets the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for your time, Iona, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, lovely chatting to you.